So good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Q3 2022 system demo. Let's go through some housekeeping first before to start in the heart of the presentation of this morning. Next slide. So this session will be recorded and is being live streamed, and it will be available through the corporate website. So if you have people in around you, or if you want to socialize that presentation, that demo, you are welcome to do so. We will use Slido for the interaction, for the question and answer session, and it's only on voluntary base. You may opt to remain anonymous, and if you choose to use Slido, you also consent to the processing of your personal data. And I think that was all I wanted to say about that. So let's go to what's a system demo. I think we start to be used to now. It's our third this year. So it's really part of the agile way of working. It's really to show what has been built by the different teams in the last 3 months. So every 3 months we do what we call a program increment, and at the end of a program increment we reach a certain point in terms of building a new IT system, and that's what we will demo today. It's an open ceremony, and it will be recorded and published on the corporate website, so anyone who wants to see it can see it later on. Today we are still in the pilot, and it's the last system demo as a pilot, so meaning the next one will be, let's say, becoming a business as usual. And the next one will be the 21st of December 2022. So the Q4 system demo will be the 21st of December. Let's go quickly through the agenda. So today we will show the human variation form where we are, the EPI, some part of PMS, the Emergency Task Force ETF, and medicine shortages, the SMP product. So, on that note, I will give the floor to Joris. To you, Joris.
Good morning, everyone. This is indeed just a little bit on how you can give feedback. We will be using Slido.com. You can use Slido either in your browser by going to Slido.com and then putting in the #4172725, or you can scan the QR code on your phone and go to Slido there. There'll be a single Slido for everything that we're demoing today. However, in the Slido, you will have the option of selecting one of 4 rooms. We have one room indeed for questions, comments, feedback about the forms and PMS. We have one for EPI, one for the Emergency Task Force demo, and one for the shortages demo. Don't forget indeed to also use the upvote button. We will answer and respond to comments and questions that have the most votes first. Depending on the number of questions we have, we may not get through them all, in which case indeed we will take those questions into consideration, but indeed there won't be necessarily be a full Q&A document released after this demo. I'm talking a lot indeed about questions, so feel free to ask your questions, but also feel free to give comments or feedback, or just indeed anything of what you see on the screen, whether you like it, dislike it, what other features you'd like to see. So generally, please also use the Q&A feature to just tell us what you feel and what you think. And then in that case, do expect that the response may just be like, "Thank you for your feedback. We'll take it into account." So with that, I think we can get started if everyone's noted down that number, and we're over to our first demo.
Thank you very much. So if we can move to our next slide. So I'm Christina Puusaari. I'll be presenting the data variation achievements of our Q3 increment. So here, just in summary, we are now feature complete. That was our main aim for the Q3 of the year. So our main important feature that we delivered is the medical devices. We also really concentrated on things that will improve the user experience. This included just simple user interface changes. It also included improvements to how to select the products, how to select the scopes, and also how to include details in the present and proposed section. So the main aims were to be feature complete and user improvements to make sure that we are ready for external UAT, which is currently ongoing, and also to then, with that aim, to be ready to go live in Q4. And without dwelling too much on these details, I will now hand over to my colleague Noel, who will present the system in a live demonstration. So over to you, Noel. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina, and good morning from my side as well. I would like to welcome you to our system demo of the version that will nearly go live. We are just about to make a few bug fixes because we are running the UAT currently. But for now, I want to show you what we have developed over the last quarter. Christina has just mentioned it, and I will do so by editing an existing application. So I have jumped right into one of the applications that I've created just for this test. Now, as you can see, the first thing that jumps to your eye is that the entire design was redone. This was partially presented in the last quarter, but now actually we have the new design for application forms at EMA. And hopefully this will be a guide also for other systems that will follow us. You can see the left-hand menu is being used to navigate, and the top will always tell you where you are. Now, we are starting with the product selection, and in addition to the general just look and feel, we have also improved the product selection by quite a lot. The backbone of this was redone entirely for simplicity. We were not happy with how many pop-ups you got and how many times you had to click. So right now you have your main table with your selected products, and there is one button where you navigate to one screen aware where you can select more or remove existing products, which is called the Add Product button. And what it does is it will load all the products that you currently have authorized. You can also see, well, it is slightly faster than it was before. I have currently, for my MAH, that is non-existent, which is a UAT organization, 313 authorized products. The more you have, the longer it will take, but all in all, for me, it took just 4 to 5 seconds right now. Now, this is the only screen, and you can select from here a product, click Save, and you go back to the main screen. I have already selected some products, and you can see they are not here on my first 6 products that are shown. I would have to scroll through it. So we have created this button up here where you can view your selected products. There are still some cosmetic things like enlarging the table, but the feature is complete, where I can now go to my selected products and select one. For example, I can go back to all my authorized products. I can select a new one. And from either there or here, I can hit Save, which will then remove the unselected product and at the same time add new products. What it does in the background is it creates a copy of the medicinal product plus all its packages. That's why this operation probably takes the longest in the whole system. And now you can see I have 4 products. And for convenience, we have shown how many packages are available on these products. Once you go to the proposed section, where you have your present and proposed, you can select which of these packages are actually being updated. And here you can open it up to get an overview. So on these little things that we probably will make a bit larger, so it's easier to click, you can now see all the packages that are available in the product. And if they have a tick box, they have a change has been associated to them. This is also feedback that we get from the UAT. It is not quite obvious what this tick box is for. So we will do some help text improvements, but it is just to see where a change has been created. Right, I believe, yes, and there is one more feature, as the add product screen now only has two views, the products you have authorized and the products you have selected, meaning what you're probably missing now is what about all the other products? So at the moment we have about 3,500 cup products and you can't see them here. So if you go through your list and you can't find the product in your list, it means that you're not associated to the MA who owns that product. And if you want to find that, what you do is there is a SPOR link up here, which will bring you to the current RMS, OMS, or SMS systems, but it also gives you this new view called medicinal products. Now, we're not calling this PMS because it is not the entirety, but it is a copy of them. So we're borrowing their data. And what it does, it brings you to a screen with a live copy of all authorized human medicinal products that are currently available in PMS, which means currently in PMS, you have all CAP products from SciMed. Now, if you look at the PMS roadmap, this will become more and more over the next few months, and which also means the 3,460 entries here will become more and more. We're using this screen mainly to see who this product belongs to. So I know if I go to IAM, who do I request access with if I want to do a variation there? So this MA holder will tell me exactly who the product is. If I say, okay, I know only my substance is abacavir, I'm always using that one because it's the first substance in the alphabet. I can see, all right, this is belonging to VIV Healthcare, so I can go to IAM and request a role with them if I want to do a variation. Of course, I should only do this if I'm actually an employee of them or a consultancy. Now, this is how you look for products now. It is separate from the application form, so you can always do this. You can go here and just query products. We also show the PMS ID and the MPID already. The MPID is, of course, not yet filled in, so it's just a copy of the PMS ID. But in the future, the PMS ID will become more and more important. To display this, we're using the English full name. This is also a major change to the current system. We have tested this out with a combination of invented name strength and dose form. Now, with the change to IDMP, the dose form and the authorized dose form are slightly different because the dose form itself is part of the name, which would be, in these cases, it's always the same. But there are quite a number of products that have a different dose form name than they have an authorized dose form, because an authorized dose form is adhering to RMS and is standardized, whereas the name is not. So this is why we now always go with the full name in English. If it's not available in English, we pick the next language the product is authorized in. This will be interesting once we see MRP products here. Going back to the application form, you can also see we're always using the full name here. This is also due to data availability. Until we have a perfectly clean PMS and XCV MPD, the split from the full name to all of the name parts that IDMP requires will take some time. So we're not relying on this, but we are relying that the full name, first of all, is unique and is there. It's one of our most important attributes. If I don't want to add anything, I can always hit cancel and it will bring me back to my previous screen. Now, finishing up with products, please ask any questions that you might have. I will be responding it after the presentation. I'm now just going to save this, and just to be sure, I could just navigate away as well. Navigating to the next section is the types of changes, meaning I can select my scopes. I have previously selected one, now I want to add another scope. We have improved this by no longer making it necessary to go through all 6 levels. but we now have a Google-like search on top here, where I can just type in like let's take a B2, hit enter, and I get all the B2 scopes. I can see there are 22 pages, so I should refine my search. I know I want to be doing a B2A. I can refine this. I have 3 pages. I can see I want to do a B2A2, and then there are only 4, and I can select one of them. You can do this with all manner of scopes. So as long as those scopes are in RMS, you can search for them. You can search for them by number, so A2, B2, etc., or by text. If you do search by text, you have to enter a wildcard at the start. We are using mainly the star as a wildcard. The star stands for any number of characters. So if you start with the star, you are ignoring the A1 number, for example, and you can just search for change, which will bring up quite a lot of things. Or authorization. So we assume that most people, you have to write it correctly, that most people will use the numbers, but you can also search by text for those people who do not know the number. Now I'm going to select just any one of them. What it now brings up is it tells me which scopes are allowed. We haven't actually changed this behavior. You can choose a 1A-IN or a 1B for this particular one, and it will bring up the conditions and documentations as it did before. If you select the 1A, you have to enter an implementation date or an implementation date note, and you can hit the save here. Now, I have selected 2 scopes, and it will show these scopes in the list. We have improved that list by also adding this little button to open it up and to look at the detail. Why is this necessary? Because you can see here there is a selected number. If I select the exact same scope again, it would only tell me selected is 2. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to pick another A1 scope. With another, I believe I selected type 1A-IN, so I'm going to search for 1A, do the selection, and it will again bring up the same fields. I will again select 1A, put in an implementation date because this is required, select the conditions, so I don't have to put in a note. Again, hit the save button. Now, this will create the exact same scope again, and it will just say selected here, so it doesn't add a new line here. So I actually need to open it up, and now it tells me, all right, I have 2 different 1A-IN scopes, and all that is different is we assign a number to it. And you can see, all right, the implementation date is slightly different. Maybe I have a different note. And the annoying thing that we had before is if you wanted to remove one of them, you had to actually do this on the top level, which would have removed both. And we have now implemented it. You can just edit or delete either one of them. So if you have 5 or 6 of the same change, you don't have, and you have made a mistake, you don't have to redo everything. This, you could say it's convenience, but it does speed up the input of the application by quite a lot. And I believe it is a very valuable usability improvement. Right, the last section that was improved is the proposed changes. So we have done some, I hope I'm not running out of time here. Please stop me if I take too long. I have one more section to show. So the proposed changes, and we have did a survey and asked people how long it takes to fill in this application, and most of them responded the most time it takes them is by adding the present and proposed text. So we have removed the clicks that you need to do this and improved general usability of this. I can see it still takes some time. This is because it is structured, and it will allow for structured input, and it will allow for association to a specific package, which was not possible before. This is why it's not maybe not as fast as it is in a PDF, but maybe it also just takes some time to get used to it. At least what happens now is if you click on add present proposed, the first thing that comes up is the present and the proposed. And I think this is already a huge improvement. So you can just add your text. You have to click this checkbox that you're not changing an organization. This is just required. You have to choose a scope and a product. Now, the improvement here is that you can see the performance of this is instant. There is no longer a loading if you switch ribbons. So you have to choose at least one scope and at least one package. And what you do here is you can see all the products that you've selected before. I'm going to select one of them. And if you do so, the available packages are listed below. If you select two, the packages become more and more. If I select all of them, all packages are in here. And if I want to just select all packages, I click that one. This will associate my change to everything, but maybe I just want to have these three. Now, these two selections here are necessary in order to save it at the moment. There are some improvements requested that you can save in between if this text becomes very large. If you want to do just be sure that it's there. But this is what you can imagine from the PDF, the plus button on your present and your proposed. So I've hit, I want to create one present and proposed that belong together. If I want to create another present and proposed that belong together, I hit that plus button on the present proposed section again. So I just add a second present and proposed, and they are listed here. So we are showing this is the scope that is being changed. These are the packages affected. And we are saying what the system recommends for a change and what the actual change was that is being done. So the system does the recommendation based on the scope selection, but we're not forcing you. So if you think the system is recommending it wrongly, so it wants, for example, a text change, but you're actually doing a device change, you can override this by selecting this and saying, I want to propose a device change, a GMO change, an ATC change, or a PMFL change. Sorry, a PSMF change. So if I want to say I want to do a device change for that one, what I do is I can select two of them or I can select just one, and I propose a medical device change. This is the last section that we have implemented that was missing. So we have created the FHIR standard on how to transmit data on devices. So we have defined together with the PMS team which are the required fields, and we have created the user interface to actually add a device. This is now a mixture of what is currently necessary in the PDF. So you know these, if it's a new or if it's a change device, you have to type in your name of the device, your quantity, you have to say if it is a co-packaged or an integral device. This is mainly IDMP. You can find the description of these fields in the EUIG, but you will also see most of them in the current PDF. Now there are a number of required fields, and in the end you have to do an association to a specific package. If it is co-packaged, you have to do an association to a specific pharmaceutical form if it's an integral device. This is mainly to improve also the free text that is currently in the PDF, where you would just say in the free text, in the brief description, part of package, I don't know, 23. So you can still do this, but you can also add the actual link to the actual package, actually the packaged item in this case, because this is how the ISO model is. I'm not going to fill in the entire section now just to save some time. I can show you that I have a section already filled in on another change. So I can click cancel here. And cancel here. So you would see present values on medical devices as well if we had present values in PMS. They will be there at some point. We are just not there yet. As soon as they are there, we are loading it though. So for this one, I've already added a device, and you can just, every time you navigate away, you have unsafe data, you are going to get asked this. You could just say, all right, I want to actually change my medical device. So I'm ticking this and I'm hitting medical device again, and it will bring me up to my previously entered device. I've entered one device there and associated to 3 packages. What it does now is as those 3 packages belong to 2 medicinal products, what it did is it automatically duplicated the device, because it realizes you can only have a device on a product. As soon as you hit the borders of one product, you do a work sharing where you want a device on all of those products, you actually have to create more than one device. The UI will let you do this in one go, meaning I have just created one device associated to multiple products, multiple packages. The packages, it does by association, and the medicinal product, it does by copying the device. For this, we have these remove association and delete device buttons, meaning if you just want to remove a device from a specific package, you hit the remove association button. If you want to remove a device from an entire product, you hit the delete device button. And that's it. This was a lot of information because we did a lot of implementation in one quarter. This was our last really feature quarter. So the next presentation that we will give you will be way shorter, so I apologize for the length of it. And I would now hand over to the next team. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Noel. We're going to take over now from the EPI side. My name is Elizabeth Scanlon, and I'm the co-product owner for EPI. And we have a few slides of introduction, as this is our first system demo. So if we could have the next slide, please, Emily. First of all, I just want to give you our definition of what EPI is. It's the authorized statutory product information for medicines. That means the summary of product characteristics for healthcare professionals, the package leaflet for patients, and the labeling that will be provided in a semi-structured format created using the EU EPI Common Standard. So that will mean that the product information will be more amenable for dissemination through electronic systems, e-health systems, and websites, ultimately allowing patients and healthcare professionals to get the information they need on safe and effective use of their medicines, and facilitating provision of this information at the point of need. A brief mention of the EU EPI Common Standard. This was adopted by the European Medicines Regulatory Network last year, and it's used to generate EPI, and it's based on the International Health Level 7 FHIR standard. Next slide, please. So this project is about developing a minimum viable product, and what the minimum viable product will enable is creation of EPI in regulatory procedures. It will be a ready-to-use product with limited features that can be used by early adopters, and we plan to pilot it next year for CAPS and for NAPS from some NCAs. We have Denmark, Netherlands, Spain, and Sweden piloting next year. And the MVP will enable EPI to be created at the beginning, at the submission point. And then we plan for, in the MVP, for the assessment and all the processes around assessment to be untouched and to continue business as usual. And then the EPI would be updated after a positive opinion, and then it could be made available and published and made available through the public API. Next slide, please. A little bit more about the MVP. It is an authoring portal that will enable creation, update, upload, download of EPI. It will have rich text editing functionality, which means that all the different styling aspects that EPI needs will be available. And we'll also have the EPI ultimately, once authorized, published in a FHIR repository. And that means that the API from the repository will be publicly available to websites, machines, and so on. Next slide, please. So we have just started with our first PI planning event in June, And here is a summary of what we have been doing for the first 3 months. So a lot of what we were doing in the first 3 months consists of enablers. In other words, we had to do various tasks in order to allow the future activities of the project. So we made some design of the solution architecture for the EPI MVP, and we defined the user journeys for the applicants and regulators and created wireframes for the portal. We also created login roles. These aren't public at the moment, but will be in future, so that you can log in with EMA credentials with an EPI role. We created the data model and defined our testing strategy and set up our dev environment. And on the right-hand side of the arrow, there's a little bit more of the features that we developed. We already started work on the Create EPI editor, and we implemented a tree view navigation, which I'm going to show you in a minute. We tested various rich text editors to make a decision about which editor to use in the EPI portal. And we also implemented the plugin, which will take EPI created in the portal and convert it into the FHIR message, which is compliant with the EU EPI Common Standard. In addition, we stood up the FHIR repository, and we have an API available. So that means that we can, from the back end, publish, validate, and get from the EPI from the API. So I'm going to show you a simple create new journey. So I'm going to share my screen now. So I hope you can see my, my screen now. Please let me know if that's not the case. So one of the key architectural decisions, and I think it's going to be very important for the users, is that we shall share the portal in future with electronic application form. So here is how a future portal could look. And I'm just going to sign into the portal now. And I'm signing in with my EMA credentials because we have set up the roles now. I can sign in with my EMA credentials, and I've been assigned an EPI role, not yet publicly available, but it will be when we go live. And here from this front page, I can choose to do an EPI. So I'm just looking here at the drop down where I have the choice to go to an EPI list, which would be a list of all the EPIs I'm working on, the EPIs that are available to me. We don't have this implemented yet. Or we can choose new EPI. Now I'm going to enter some details about the EPI that I want to create here. So here, the main purpose of this page is, first of all, we need to make a decision whether the EPI we want to create is an update of an EPI that already exists, or if it's completely new. So we choose based on whether we are doing a variation, for example, or creating a completely new EPI. We choose the domain. Now, please note that at the moment, the EPI project is focusing on human medicines, but we would hope to extend to veterinary in the future. And then we choose whether we're doing a CAP or a NAP medicine. So the purpose of that previous page is really to pick out the right QRD template, depending on the medicine, the type of procedure, and the authority. Those of you who have done UATs and been following the demos on DADI will know about the co-author, the ability to add a co-author. We haven't implemented this, but it will also be the case for EPI because there might likely be several people involved in authoring an EPI or even translators or so on. So that possibility will also be there for EPI. So now I'm entering in the area where I can author my document. And here is the tree view navigation that we implemented. This is very important, as anybody knows who's dealing with PI, for navigating around the various sections and subsections. And also here across the top, I can go through the various documents of the EPI that I want to create. And you can note here that actually the EPI is going to be created section by section, but also that the template, the QRD template, will actually be already existing in the section. So you'll be able to see the QRD template to help the author to enter the different texts in the different sections. Now let me enter something here. So here for the name, I'm just going to enter a demo name here. And actually, if I try to navigate away, I'll be warned that I need to save that section before navigating away. So I'm going to save. So you can see that I'm working here on the document section by section, but of course, at some stage, you may want to get an overview. So we will have a functionality where you can preview the document as well. This is a static page, but you can see the name of the medicine that I entered is here underneath the name of medicinal product. And also on the left-hand side, the tree view is here static, so you can tell the different sections that you've entered in the document. And we will need to continue working on the document, and the document has a draft status, but at a certain point, the document will need to be finalized. And as mentioned, this can be at the time point of submission and also post-opinion. It can be finalized with the updates that have occurred during the assessment, and then it can be published. So we will have a finalization step. And again, in a similar way to the electronic application form, there will be some form of declaration here. Now, at the moment, this is just draft text, but we'll have a declaration. And now I'm going to finalize here. I have received a message to say that I've finalized. And also here, for demo purposes only, I have the list ID. So at the moment, actually, what we have done is this has now been published, converted to what I put in, and it has been published to the back end, to the FHIR repository, and it is an EPI, Common Standard Compliant EPI. It is important to note that this would not happen in practice. It would not be published straight to the public FHIR repository. That will only happen after the medicine has been authorized and has a commission decision. So we're just doing it here for demo purposes. So I'm going to actually pass that list ID, which also is only here just for the demo purposes. It won't appear in the final product because it's quite a technical thing, over to my colleague Evan, who's in Spain. And I'm going to stop sharing. And Evan will have a look at from the API side. So I'll pass over to you now, Evan.
Yes, thank you, Libby. Can you see my screen?
Very well.
Can you hear me well? All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Libby. And good morning, everyone. My name is Evan Drusis. And as Libby said, I work at the Spanish Medicines Agency. And I am also the network, CA network product co-owner for the EPI pilot project. So we just saw Libby demonstrate on the front end how we can create and publish an EPI. And now I'd like to show you how this is reflected on the back end and in the FHIR repository. And we're also going to look at a little bit of the FHIR message. So just a quick background, when Libby actually clicked on the complete pre-opinion button, she was actually invoking the HTTP post method, which is right here, to publish the record to the EPI FHIR repository. Okay, and like she said, she sent me the list ID. So let me just copy that list ID. And we're going to throw it in here. Now we're going to get the list. This is another HTTP method to retrieve the list. Let me throw it in here. Just a quick background also for those of you who don't know much about FHIR. The list resource is like an index. I like to think of it as an index for all the records related to a specific EPI. Okay, so let's execute. And we can scroll down and see the FHIR message. As we can see, this is resource type list. September 2022 demo, that's what Libby put in the front end. So this is no gimmicks. This is actually what she just created on the front end. And as we scroll down a little bit further, we can start seeing the documents. We can see first labeling. We can see the package leaflet, the SMPC, and the Annex 2. Now, Libby modified the SMPC, so we're going to look at the SMPC. And another quick note, inside of this list resource, there is a reference to the document bundle. This is a specific bundle for that document. This particular one, of course, is the SMPC. So if I quickly copy this bundle ID, I can now go to retrieve or get the bundle. So try it out, and I can throw it in here. Execute. So querying the EPI to retrieve the document bundle. And as we scroll down, we can see resource type bundle, and we are displaying the summary of product characteristics. And again, this is the one that Libby just created in the front end. We can also see the medicine, the name of the medicine that she entered in the text box. Okay, so the idea in the future is that this FHIR repository will be available to e-health systems, to researchers, to companies, so that they can access up-to-date EPI information. It is also just a quick note, I forgot to mention that all the API specifications can be found in the EU EPI Common Standard, and is all documented on the EPI GitHub repository. Just the last thing, we also have some validation rules that we've created so far, but we will look at that in a future demo. So basically, this concludes our demonstration for today. We look forward to updating you in the future. And yeah, that's it from me. Thank you very much.
So let's go to the next product in our system demo. So, and we give the floor to Andre and Marcos for PMS.
Yep. Hello. Good morning, everybody. So I'm going to present today together with Andre Iru, our Sport Platform Architect, which has been our developments now during this PI. So if we can go to the next slide, please. Okay, so from this PI, so the Q3 PI, as you already know, we have already finished our second round of the UAT that we have done for the XBMPD initial load. We have also finished the bug fixing of the high priority bugs that we have found during this UAT. Regarding the XBMPD delta, so when we have any update or any change in XBMPD, how it is propagated to PMS, we have developed all those in SIT, and one of those is what we are going to demo during today's demo. We have also implemented in the SIT environment the authorization status logic that is needed by DADI for national procedures. We have also finished the SIAMED deltas bug fixing, and we have included the CAP data in PMS to support the DADI UAT and the DADI Go Live now during next month. So what are we going to demo today? One of the things that we are going to demo, or the thing that we are going to demo today is one specific part of the XBMPD delta. So how we insert a new medicinal product in XBMPD and how this is propagated and it's available in PMS. What we will do later is we will add a new presentation for the same medicinal product. So we will be able to see this new presentation under the same medicinal product. So if we go to the next slide, is just a diagram of how that's work. So we would have the an MA holder submitting an authorized medicinal product to XBMPD. Once the product is in XBMPD, this information will be propagated into PMS and will be consumed by different systems, so IRIS, DADI, etc. At some point, when the applicant has to submit a new presentation for the same medicinal product or authorized medicinal product to XBMPD, the XBMPD deltas will be able to find that this presentation belongs to the same medicinal product, and instead of creating a new record in PMS, this record will be included under the already created medicinal product. So let me share how that would work. This is our test environment of EV. So in order to save some time, what I have already done is I have created an XML that I will upload here with some data for a medicinal product. So what I'm doing here is I'm including an XML. We will go later through the data that we have. I will load this information into the system. And here I have all the information. Let me submit first the product so we can have time to have it into PMS. So to do that, I just need to include a message number here. I will validate it. It's okay. So let me send it, cancel. Okay. So now what I need to do is I need to wait until this message goes into the XBMPD queue. It's processed and the medicinal product is included into the database. Let me copy this so I can search for it later. So what's the information that we have included in this medicinal product? So I have created, I have selected an MA holder, a random one, a QPPV, master file location, some data about the pharmacovigilance inquiry email, the phone that we will see later in PMS. The country of authorization is Spain, and this is a national procedure. I also have, for example, the authorization status is valid, one with an MA number. This is the authorization renewal date. I have a legal basis, and then I have the orphan drug designation as no and the additional monitoring as no. So we will be able to see how this data is also processed into PMS. The full presentation name is ibuprofen Marcos EMA 500 milligrams tablets. I have split the name in the different sections, and I have a pack description. So in this case, I have a 20 tablet in a blister. And I want also to see what happens if I include a comment that this medicinal product is authorized for the treatment in children. So I don't know if you are aware, but for example, in Spain, we receive the authorization number at the level of the medicinal product. So all the packages belonging to the same medicinal product have the same authorization number. For other countries, like for example, in Italy, each presentation has their own MA number. In both the scenarios, we are not testing or we are not demoing them today, but it is also a possibility. We are going to include it later on a different presentation for the same medicinal product with the same authorization number. What I have also included here is, for example, the medicinal product type, the authorized pharmaceutical form. So this is a tablet. I have one pharmaceutical product with 2 ingredients, ibuprofen and the excipient is at the top. For example, I have the ATC and I have one drug indication. So let me find for the message that I have created. This is how I can find if the message has been correctly. So I have it here, I can load it, and I can see that I have my acknowledgement here. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to ask, so this is the acknowledgement that I have received with the following EV code. So I'm going to ask Andre to tell me if this is correctly processed by PMS. In the meantime, I'm going to clear everything, because what I'm going to do now is submit the second package for the same medicinal product that we have created here. So Andre just told me that everything is correct. So let me load it is the same XML. I know that there are some companies that are doing this. They are using the same medicinal product or the same XML to generate different products. So I will reload the same. And what I'm going to do now is just change the presentation here. So I will say that this is 100 tablets that I have here. I will process the message here, and I will say this is demo two, sorry. I will validate the message as well. It's okay, I can send it. If I'm allowed. So this is now submitted, and we now have to wait for the message to be processed for EV. Then this will be sent to PMS. As you can see, what we are trying to do is a real-time synchronization. So what we need to wait is just to have the medicinal product or the record included in XCVMPD. And as soon as it's in XCVMPD, it will be forward to PMS. So there are a lot of questions. How much time do I need to see my product in PMS? What's the time of synchronization? So this is the test environment. So the messages that we send are quite quick to be processed, because we don't really have a lot of submissions. In production, we have more submissions. So the time that you usually need to wait to get the acknowledgement as the medicinal product has been introduced is the time that you would need to have a bit more to have it in PMS. Let's see if I can find this message here. So okay, it's here. I can load this one. I see that I have my acknowledgement here as well, and I will send this to Andre again. So Andre, what he's going to do now, we have presented also this in other demos. We have generated a viewer. So looking at an XML or a Fire message is quite difficult for some people. So what we have created is a simple viewer that takes the XML and it converts it to an HTML message that is more nice to see. So Andre is going to provide me in 1 minute or so with this viewer. So we will be able to see the data that we have included as part of these submissions that we have done. So remember that we have this comment for the pediatric use. We have this different name. We have the country of authorization, the authorization number, the date, etc. So I have it here. Let me download it. Okay, so it should be here. Okay, so in this case, we have actually had 4 different EV. So this is the viewer that we have. We have already tested this before the demo. So we have included 2 different records before. So what we have done is created, let's say, 4 different packages. These are the 4 EV codes that we have generated, and therefore this is included into PMS, so we have this information. So here you can see that we have our PMS ID, we have the domain, which is human, we have the authorized pharmaceutical form tablet. Here you can see tablet, but in the backend we have the actual RMS term. We have here that additional monitoring is false. We set this into the EV message. We don't have the orphan because we said no. The pediatric use indicator, we have been able to convert the sentence that we included in XBMPD to true. We have the classification, so this is the ATC code, we have the legal basis, we have the product classification, and then we have the medicinal product name. The country in this case is Spanish because we have included it. This is based on the country of authorization, and then the split of the name, we have it here. We have the pharmacovigilance master file, the code, the QPPV role, and all the information about pharmacovigilance. We also have the marketing authorization. So this is based on the EUIG chapter 2, the different fields. We have the marketing authorization. This is the RMS term for marketing authorization. The country of authorization is Spain. The status valid, the status date that we have included also in EV. We have the marketing authorization holder, who is the regulator. Here we have the therapeutic indication. And then we have the 4 different packages that we have included. And as I told you before, we tested this before. So we have 4 different packages. So we have the 100 tablets, the 20 tablets, and then we have, again, the same information because we have included 4 different records. So if you have duplicates in XBMPD, it's time for you to nullify them because if not, you will have this structure here. And we also have the marketing authorization information for those different packages. We also have the pharmaceutical product with the administrable dose form. Here we have a bug that we already know that we have. We have 2 ingredients, but one of them is mapped to excipient. So the ibuprofen should be active substance. This is a bug we are working on. And we also have the route of administration. So this is an RMS term for oral use, I would say. So this is what we have. So this is the demo how you can include a new authorized medicinal product into XBMPD. It will be propagated into PMS, and therefore it will be then consumed by different systems. And we have also demoed what happens if you include a different pack for the same medicinal product. It doesn't create a new record. It is actually included in the already created medicinal product that we have in PMS. So that's all from our side, and I think there will be some questions that we can reply later. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So let's go to, thank you very much, Marcos. So let's go now to the next value stream, which is the monitoring of the R&D, research and development. And now we give the floor to Ekaterina for the demonstration on the emergency task force support. Thank you, Ekaterina.
Thank you, Jean-Michel. Hello, everyone. I am going to take you through the changes in the IRIS application portal, and the changes are applied to the scientific advice initial and follow-up scientific advices. I will start by giving you a bit of background information. So per new regulation 2020-123, the Emergency Task Force is mandated to offer scientific support in preparation for or during a public health emergency. As such, the ETF handles the requests for scientific advice on the development of medicinal products targeting declared or potential public health emergencies. At this moment, we have 2 public health emergencies, COVID-19 and monkeypox. Hopefully that's where we will stop. But the work of ETF will not limit to declared only. and to explain what potential PHE is then referring to the pathogens with potential to cause a public health emergency. For example, Zika virus, Ebola, chikungunya, coronaviruses like MERS or SARS, pandemic influenza, and any other pathogens, which will be considered on a case-by-case basis based on relevance and the workload of ETF. In addition, ETF helps facilitate clinical trials for medicinal products targeting public health emergencies by providing scientific advice on trial protocols. So with this said, we can move to the next slide, please. In here, you can see the two streams for scientific advices. Standard scientific advices will be handled as per usual by the Scientific Advice Working Party, and those in scope for emergency task force, so declared and public health emergencies, will be handled by the ETF. And CHMP will, of course, adopt the advices. What's new for the process handled by the ETF is that we will involve the member states in the assessment process. So experts will be invited to give input. This process handled by the ETF will be most of the time accelerated and free of charge, but deceleration can be applicable, and this depends then on the urgency, if there is premature data submitted, on the workload, or lack of urgency. All right, we can move to the next slide, and I think I'll jump in directly into a presentation of the system live. So we plan to go live with these changes on the 11th of October. So this would be considered, this can be considered actually as a bit of a training. All right. I'll be sharing my screen. All right. Okay, once on the website, on the portal, you can go to the submission, my draft submissions. In there, please click on the create a new submission. You'll be asked to specify if this is an organization apply or an individual. At the second step, you'll be entering details of the organization. So selecting the company, the location of the company, and also specify the type of submission. Is this concerning an initial scientific advice or a follow-up? So changes have been applied only to these two, initial and follow-up scientific advices. In the next step, you will be asked to specify the managers who are going to handle the submission and any other contributors. All right, then we will land on the main page with the submission forms to be completed. And the first form will be the administrative information tab. And this is where the changes, this is where we applied, we will apply on the 11th of October, the changes to, so it's just a little bit stuck. So these changes will help us differentiate between the scientific advices in scope for the Scientific Advice Working Party or in scope for ETF. Okay, so we are here, click on the administrative information, and in here, the type of request is a section newly added, And as specified, several questions have been added to distinguish between the type of submissions. All right, if this concerns a standard scientific advice, you click on yes, and the other two questions will be set automatically on no. If this request is for scientific advice in handling or targeting a declared public health emergency, then please click on yes to this question, the other two automatically on no. And afterwards, sub-question will ask you to specify the public health emergency. So I will be clicking on monkeypox, for instance. And then it's going to be displayed underneath the question. If this is the scientific advice for a potential public health emergency, meaning that the scientific advice is targeting a pathogen, then you'll be clicking yes on this question, and you'll be asked to specify the pathogen. At this moment, we have chikungunya, coronaviruses, Ebola, pandemic influenza, Zika viruses, and other pathogens as well. If clicking on other pathogens, you will have an additional free text where you can specify the pathogen, and we will be selecting from the backend if this qualifies for rapid scientific advice. All right, the next question will help us identify the member states that need to be invited to the to the scientific advice evaluation process. And in here, you'll be asked to specify in which countries you have submitted or plan to submit a clinical trial. So from this lookup, you can either scroll through the list displayed, either you can use the search option. I will go for Italy, for instance. Select it, and Germany as well. I will select it and add it. So the countries will be displayed under the question. In case you have erroneously entered a country and you want to remove it, please do so. If none of them apply and at this moment you don't know, for instance, where the submission will take place, then please click on the not applicable. The rest of the information did not change, is as per usual, so go ahead and complete it. Once done, then you'll click on save and return. If you choose the return only, the completed information will be lost. Thus, please pay attention. All right, I think that was it. From my side, the administrative information is completed and the rest of the forms can be completed as per usual. Nothing changed here. That's it. I will be here for any questions and feedback. Thank you all.
So thank you very much, Katarina. So now we are going to the monitoring value stream, and we will have Sofia who will demonstrate the medicine shortages monitoring platform. Thank you.
Indeed, thank you so much. So hello everyone, good morning. My name is Sofia Zastonik and I am the product owner of the medicine shortages. So let's just dive straight in. So what we will be demonstrating today is a proof of concept for the ESMP. That is the European Shortages Monitoring Platform. The background of the need to have that implemented came from the Article 37 of a new regulation which foresees the development of an IT platform to facilitate the collection of information on shortages, supply, and demand for medicinal products, which would then also include information on marketing status, marketing cessations, and all that data would need to be submitted both from the industries and the member states' signal points of contact. So the whole scope of that would be monitoring, prevention, and management. So we would be monitoring shortages of medicinal products which are on the critical medicines list during a public health emergency or a major event, but also actual or potential medicine shortages in any of our member states that could lead to a major event or a public health emergency. So the idea of that is to have a centralized EU platform through which to report, monitor, and prevent, and of course manage medicine shortages. We can go to the next slide. Yes, so this is the high-level view of the that platform. So the general idea is to do data collection and management. With that, with the data that we receive, we will do data analysis, but also reporting, shortages management, so direct case management, but also we would be publishing the data. So the information would be coming in both from the industry and national competent authorities, and then it would be used for reporting back to the industry also, who could see generalized overview of the shortages happening. Also, the regulators would have an overview of what's going on, and especially for us, that would be also the SPOC Working Party and the MSSG, which have a very key role in the overview of the shortages situation, and therefore and with that the European Commission and also the public could be viewing that data as well. So the user accounts would be managed through the user account management system. There would be a data warehouse with analytics capabilities implemented in that, document management, and of course all of that would be plugged into SPOR data, through which we would get information on product substances, organizations, and referentials. Next slide, please. Yes, so in terms of monitoring the situation during a crisis, the focus here is on a list of critical medicines, which is crisis specific. So during each crisis, a specific list of medicines which are of the utmost importance for that particular crisis is adopted by the MSSG, and that has been the case for COVID, both for COVID and monkeypox. So the data on these medicines would be submitted through the ESMP. Now, that data in general would the scope would be a large set of data, including marketing status, manufacturing information, both sales and market share, stocks, and as well as the forecast of demand and supply, as well as the information on alternative medicines. And on the other hand, the NCAs would be reporting to us their needs, so the data on the demands as well as the volume of sales and prescriptions. But what we were focusing on this particular proof of concept that I will now demonstrate is the information on the shortages, which you can see in the little green tick box, and as well as the alternative medicine. Let's go on. So yes, this would be the general overview of how the web forms would look like and what kind of data they would have embedded in them. And so the ones which have the green tick box are the ones that we have been working on in this quarter, and I will now demonstrate what that looks like. So I will be sharing my screen. can I please have the access rights to share my screen, please? Okay, so I will now, you should be seeing my screen now. Do you? I think you do. Okay, so what I will be now demonstrating is how to submit actually the proof of concept on how we would submit information on a particular shortage of a medicine. So here we are in the system, we have only centrally authorized products for now. And the concept that we were working on here is how to submit a shortage for a bundle of products. So that would mean that I am, for example, facing a shortage of a medicine that is a centrally authorized product, but the shortage is in several member states and affects several pack sizes. So we have developed that under the concept of a bundle. So if I go and create a bundle, give me just a sec to see. Let me see if I can refresh this. Okay, can we just have a sec while the team has a look in the background on what's happening there? Okay, in just 1 second to see if we will. Okay, can I suggest that we go back to yours to see if there's any questions, and then I will hopefully have this back online in 1 minute and be able to demonstrate it.
So I will hand over to Joris to make a check on the question, waiting for Sofia to come back with her demo.
So indeed, I hope everyone has managed to find their way to Slido. I know that certainly some of you have, and been putting your questions in one of the 4 rooms, either for the electronic application forms and PMS, EPI, the emergency task force, and now indeed shortages. Specifically on shortages, no questions have come in yet, so we'll give everyone an opportunity indeed to do that. So my suggestion would perhaps be to just start taking it from the top, and maybe indeed just start our Q&A and start talking about the electronic application forms and PMS.
Sorry, actually, this system now, of course, seems to be back on. Okay. So if you don't mind, I'll take back.
Absolutely. Let's keep it going.
Cool. Okay, and I see my access rights are not there again. Okay. So let's give this another shot. Sorry guys, we had to keep this interesting. So, okay, so as I was saying, if I go and create a bundle shortage submission, because I'm facing a shortage of a medicine of several pack sizes in several countries. First, what I will do, since this is crisis reporting, I will choose for which prices I'm reporting this for. So let's say COVID-19. Then, after I have chosen a specific crisis, I will see which are the medicines that are under my jurisdiction. So if I am a fictional MAH called the European Medicines Agency, these will be the medicines that are assigned to me because I am their MAH, and you will see their active substances because these medicines would theoretically be under my crisis reporting requirements. Now, of course, simvastatin and atorvastatin are not COVID-19 critical medicines, so this was just created for the purposes of this demo. So let's say I'm facing a shortage of atorvastatin. So I choose this medicinal product, and now I will see all the different packages I have of that product because I am reporting the shortage on the pack size level. So let's say I'm facing a shortage of all these pack sizes. And since it's a centrally authorized product, it's authorized in all the EU countries. So let's say the shortage is happening in Austria, Belgium, and Croatia. So now I will be prompted to insert specific information about this shortage. So this is an actual shortage which has started. I'm planning for it to start. It's planned to start tomorrow, and there is. Let's say the shortage is expected to end on the 5th of October. So here I need to put in which is the point in the supply chain at which the disruption occurs. So let's say this is on the level of the active substance. Of course, these are all the different parts of the supply chain where one can notify where the disruption is occurring. Then I will be, and of course, each of these has an extra free text field where we can actually put in more information to on the actual part of the shortage information. Then, in terms of the root cause, I'm saying, let's say, for example, this is a quality issue. And there is also an unexpected increased demand, so multiple of these can be selected. Okay, so now, once I enter the root cause, I will be asked about more information on each of these subcategories. So on the quality issue, let's say, so it is, for example, a defective product which will be preventing release of batches to the market. Again, I can put in more information here and say unexpected impurities have been discovered. In terms of the root cause for the unexpected increased demand, let's say that this is due to consumer-driven stockpiling. Also, here I can add in the countries in which the unexpected increased demand is occurring, and here again I have the full list of countries to choose from, and let's say that there is unexpected increased demand in Germany, which is causing problems in other countries. Of course, here I can put more information, and let's say quality defect, media attention causing customer stockpiling. Then I will have a section where I can put in information on alternative products. And here, let's say the alternatives are the same medicine in a different pharmaceutical form or another medicinal product with the same active substance. After that, I have a section where I can add actual alternative products. So here, the full list of available products in the EU would be shown, and then the MAH inserting this information on the crisis could pick one or more medicines which are the alternatives. So for example, now I'm inputting information about an atorvastatin shortage. So and of the MAH called EMA, and my alternative, for example, could be an atorvastatin from another MAH, but also a medicine which has a different active substance, and perhaps it is also under my jurisdiction, so it's the same MAH. So let's choose these two. Okay. In terms of the mitigation plan, let's say we plan to have an alternative active substance manufacturer, and also we plan to work on resolving the manufacturing or quality issue in this example. So yes, these are the mandatory fields that need to be put in, and then I am clicking submit, and now all this information that I have put in will be applied to all the pack sizes. So I think it was 14, 28, and 50 tablets, and for each of these countries that I have put in. So that is the concept of the bundle, that in one submission, the shortage information can be applied to multiple countries and multiple pack sizes, which is particularly pertinent for centrally authorized products. Now, once I have submitted this information, I can see that all these combinations of countries and pack sizes are here, and the individual shortage data for them has also been created. What I can also do is now pick any of these individual shortages for a particular country or a pack size, and then I will see all the information that I have submitted for it. I can also go in and amend it. I can add, let's say I'm also having export restrictions. I can amend the dates if there's any other changes, and then I can submit the data. And this particular change that I have put in on for an individual country, see, for example, this one has been subsequently amended. And yes, that is the end of my demo and the general information on what we've built now as a proof of concept for submitting data on shortages and alternative products. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Sofia. So we have seen all the demo we wanted to show you this morning, and I give the floor back to Joris. Back to you, Joris.
Yes, hello. So let's try that Q&A again. And indeed, I do suggest that we take it from the top. So starting with displaying the top rated questions in PLM. And just checking with Emily whether you'll show them.
Yes.
Yeah. There we go. So with the most upvotes, the little thumbs up in the top right of the question, we have question: is it possible to export a list with all medicinal products? If it's not possible, how do you recommend industry map their RIMs with the PMS IDs?
So I will take the first half of that question, then refer to my SPOR colleagues.
Yeah.
We intentionally did not enable an export of all the medicinal products. We could, but we thought it would not be our place, as we are doing a variations project and we don't actually want that list to be used as a PMS export. And how you map and how you get these PMS products, I would now refer to Marcus and Veronica.
Yeah, so I would say that for the moment, I mean, this is not possible because we don't have the capability. I mean, we are not opening the API also to get the data from PMS. But the idea is that we will be working on also the product user interface, and the idea is to be able to extract the product data with the PMS IDs and also have access to the API where people will be able to map their data in the RIM system with also the PMS IDs and do whatever they need to do. So for the moment, it is not possible, but it is on our radar to develop this possibility.
Okay, so indeed, so that's coming in a future release, most likely.
Yes.
In March. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, clear. So then we can mark that one as answered. Let me just do that on my end. Let's see, then we have, is it possible to prepare draft applications if you have, for example, national registrations and need to prepare separate variations for each national registration in each country? Or do you have to create a submission from scratch every time?
Christina, I think you want to take that one.
Yes, I can take that. So this is one of our, let's say, favorite features, the copy application. Unfortunately, we have a lot of things that we need to work on. At the moment, we're concentrating on things that are really key and kind of have to be part of the minimum viable product. So unfortunately, the copy application has been time and time again deprioritized. It doesn't mean that it's not an important feature. We are absolutely including that at some point, but there are other more functional features that are currently prioritized over that. Of course, the initial release is for centrally authorized products. So at the moment, we don't really have the national registrations, but we're hoping to be able to include this feature before our NAP release coming next year.
Indeed. So again, this is on the backlog, not for the upcoming release, but probably indeed it is something that we'll be doing in the future, right, Christina? Or expected?
Correct, absolutely correct. Yes, this is something that is highly requested.
Yeah, clear. Okay, then we have a question from Anna. Is there already an idea or strategy on how pack size will be populated for all non-caps, as there is no SciMed data for them?
Yeah, I can take this question, and I can also take the next one because they are really related. And it says what happened with the pack size information is not part of XBMPD, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
And I assume it comes from SciMed, correct, for the cap data. How to correct it if there are mistakes is via ServiceNow. So all these questions are related to the pack size. So for caps, the data is coming from SciMed, and we are migrating this data now into PMS. You already have this information on Annex A of your products. There is a column with the pack size. So if there is any discrepancy, you can already go to this document, check it. And if you have any issue, you can raise a ticket on ServiceNow. They will put you in contact with your the manager of your product, and you will be able to solve the issue. Whatever we have in SciMed, it will be migrated to PMS. So that is the second question. Now, what happened for non-caps? For non-caps, we don't have pack size information on the on EV. We only have a package description. So what we are doing is migrating the package description into PMS. We already know that are missing data into PMS, and what EMA is also working on a feature to be able to correct and enrich the data, so provide data that is missing. This data on pack sizes will have to be provided as part of this enrichment at some point. We have already said in other webinars that for the moment this is not needed. If you have your packages, because you have a different domain number per package, this will be already in PMS and it will be in DADI. And if you only have one domain number for the full medicinal product, it will appear like this in PMS and also in DADI. So there is no strategy because we cannot really change the legal obligations from EMA holders on XBMPD.
Okay, I'm going to check off both those questions in that case. And then we have a question from Mark coming up, asking, will there be any updates to XBMPD requirements related to what we're seeing on screen? i.e. having one EV code per pack size rather than MA?
Yeah, so I think this is also for me. So again, we cannot change the legal requirements from XCVMPD. So the data that you have to provide to XCVMPD is based on the MA number. So if you have one MA number for all the presentations, you have to submit only one record into EB. Nevertheless, it is already foreseen that some companies, they want to submit one record per presentation, even if they have the same MA number. There are companies that they are already doing this in EV. There are companies that they only provide one record. So this is that depends on you, how you want to provide your data into XCVMPD. It is not a legal obligation to provide all the packages if you have the same MA number, but you can do it. Whatever you have in XCVMPD, what you will have in PMS, and that it will take also this information. So this is up to the applicant. There is legal requirement, and there are also some use cases where people can provide additional information if they want.
Okay, checking off Mark's question. Then another one from Anna that got quite a few votes is, what if a full name is not unique because it is a trade name and same over multiple authorizations? How do I identify my product?
Yes, so that is correct. So for COPS, we assume it is unique. The authorization is with EMA. And as soon as something changes, like the form or the strength, it also changes the full name. So the full name consists of the trade name plus strength plus form. Now, for those, we assume it is unique, and I believe unless there is a data error, it is. Now, for MRP authorizations or for national authorizations, you are correct, though. It can be the same in multiple countries, of course, and there we also display the country. So in these cases, full name plus country should be unique. You should not have the same name in the same country with the same strength and the same form.
Maybe I can add on that, because we do actually have that issue with CAPS. It has been detected now during testing. And in case you can't identify from the two entries, because there are two medicinal products with the same name, unfortunately, you would have to, unless you know the PMS ID, which you probably wouldn't, because the PMS ID is different, but it's not publicly known, so that's not really a feasible use case. So literally, just in the product selection, select both of them, save the entry, and then you can, as Noel demonstrated, there's that little arrow to expand, so you can see all the presentations. Check which one of those entries is the one that you want to choose. If you don't want both, maybe note down the PMS ID, and then go back to the product selection into your selected products and remove the one that you don't need. I have described this in the user guide. It's at the moment in a portal, so of course, if you're not participating in the UAT, you don't have access to that. But at later stage, if that issue is still present, which we expect it will be initially at Go Live, there will be details on how to identify that in the user guide.
Thank you, Christina. So Christina described here is a workaround for a data issue. Of course, we will submit these data issues to either a SOIMED or a PMS, depending on who can correct it. In theory, it should not happen. If it does happen, the portal can cope with it with this workaround.
Okay, I'm going to stop us there for EAF forms and PMS, and ask indeed if we can go to the next room for EPI, where there's quite a few questions for Elizabeth and Evan. So first one up, if you're ready for them.
Sure.
Yeah. Can you add track changes for reviewing assessment purposes, or should working documents still be submitted?
Indeed, in the MVP, it will not be possible to do track changes. The working word still needs to be submitted, because for the very, very MVP, the minimum viable product, we just want to introduce EPI, introduce the standard. So we will ask for EPI at the beginning of a procedure, ask for the updated EPI at the end, and in the minimum viable product, it won't be used during the assessment process. However, absolutely in future, as we move towards a more digital workflow, we definitely intend to build on that towards such functionality, but not in the MVP.
Clear. So I'm going to check that one off. And then the next one from Thomas is it possible to upload a Word or PDF file so the system automatically divides it into sections?
We have looked into this, and we have done some work in the past on identifying sections from the Word and PDF, and it's quite a complex thing to do. So again, in the MVP, this won't be possible, but it could be something that could be an advanced feature in the future.
Okay. And the next one, you can already see it coming, is can we create an EPI offline without using the EPI portal? All our digital workflows end at the doorstep of EMA, where we are forced to retype the information we already have in our systems, DADI and now EPI.
We really want to facilitate the applicant in providing the information, and we will have an authoring portal, because we will have people who will need and want to use the authoring portal, and we will also have the facility to upload the FHIR EPI and have it validated. So an applicant could choose to come straight with the FHIR EPI and not use the authoring portal as well. And we intend, after the MVP, to add more features to make it easier for the applicant. We are moving to a new standard. We are going to create electronic product information. It hasn't been done before. I mean, there is a certain amount of change that is going to happen there, but we're going to do our best to make sure that it can be as smooth as possible.
I think that'll be welcome news for the audience. Then next up is, you said that EPI is created section by section. There's quite some repetition between labeling and SMPC, or SMPC and PI, or different strengths. Any way to reuse text portions or type, or is it about typing everything multiple times?
We want to try and do in the MVP a bit towards this. So we are going to hopefully maybe demo in future the ability to duplicate an SMPC or duplicate a package leaflet. So then you could create one package leaflet and then create duplicates and make changes on the strength. So we won't have every single possibility for reusing text, but we are going to try and introduce a feature like this. And we'll be looking at that already in the next PI.
Okay. Let's see, then the next one up is, I see tendency to work on EMA platforms which completely messes up the internal company document lifecycle. This means a significant increase in the workload, at least initially, before figuring out how to deal with this new setup.
I only can repeat that we are, going to be in really constant, collaboration and consultation with our SMEs and with our wider community of stakeholders. I mean, we are trying to give as much advanced information about the standard that we intend to use, for example, and publish everything we do. And we hope to allow plenty of time for preparation for any changes and facilitate the applicants as best we can.
Yeah. Indeed, and I think indeed, so for people indeed have also talked about DADI, I think it's what the product owners have mentioned, again, and what Libby also said, we're starting off with something and we're going to be improving it. And I think that's true for all the products where probably a version of this question applies.
I mean, ultimately, we are absolutely committed to, the digitalization and the provision of this information in a format that is going to be more easily disseminated and digestible, and will provide many more benefits than I believe, will be the difficulty of actually implementing this on the side of the applicant and the regulator.
Yeah. So then, would EPI support collaborative editing, including audit trail of who entered what, no unnoticed overwriting? Yeah, so referencing, again, the track changes question.
Again, it's an advanced feature, so not in the MVP, but for sure, it's something that would be desirable.
Okay. Let's see, I'm keeping half an eye on the clock, but I think we'll keep us going a little bit longer on EPI because it's new. Is it export to PDF format foreseen?
This is foreseen, and we will look into the export functionality in this upcoming PI.
Okay. Let's see. Everybody participating in the creation of the EPI, also translators for different languages, will need an EMA EPI account, I assume.
Indeed, it's similarly to how the electronic application form works. There's the option to have a co-author, so the applicant can organize the collaboration on EPI how they wish. They may wish to enter translations, or they may wish the translator to be a co-author. So indeed, it will be possible to give the EPI roles to the person that you want to do the task, for sure. If you want to have an EPI role for a translator, that will be possible.
Excellent. Then we'll take the last one for EPI before we actually move on to shortages. I haven't seen any questions come in for the emergency task force. So if there are any, please do ask them in the ETF room. So last one indeed is, will the API allow EPIs to be created with marketing authorizations holders' own IT applications, i.e. the regulatory information management system or the labeling system?
So at the moment, the API, the only API that we're working on for the MVP is the publishing API. So this is for making, and this will be the access point to the EPI repository for dissemination. So we won't in the MVP have an API for upload, but we will have an upload functionality. So it will be possible into the EPI portal, and then indeed we would definitely foresee that the next step would be to have an API to do that step.
Okay, thank you, Libby. Can we jump to shortages in that case? Because indeed I haven't seen anything come in for ETF, so please do bring them in. So, Sophia and the shortages colleagues, the first question up is indeed, will the list of products for reporting shortages in ESMP only contain those on the critical medicines list?
Yes, so for the time being, we for building the platform, we are currently directing our attention to the crisis reporting for creating the minimal viable product. However, the reporting of shortage information in preparedness, so non-crisis reporting, is definitely something that will be in the ESMP and something that we will be working on in parallel. So as a short reply, no, it will not be only crisis reporting in the ESMP, it will also be for the preparedness phase.
Fair. Then you can see the next one coming up is, would ESMP take information about marketing status to limit the selection of countries for which there is a shortage, from where the marketing status would be retrieved? From IRIS? Would it come from SPOR PMS?
Yes, so currently there is the platform, actually IRIS, which currently gives the marketing authorization holders the opportunity to put in information on the particular medicine's marketing status already actually in IRIS. So that information is already there for CUPs, and the MHs are already required to submit this information. So we do have that. The plan, and actually this is already foreseen, is to take that information on marketing status that is currently in IRIS and implement it in the ESMP portal. So that information that has been inserted will be there. For any other products where information has not been yet inserted, of course, the MHs will have the opportunity to put that information in. So yes, of course, the no information for shortages naturally needs to be put in for products which are not marketed, because of course there can be no shortage.
Yeah. So then moving on to the next one is that for notifying shortages, we need to be registered as ISPOC, an industry single point of contact, in IRIS. But does it mean that all shortages notifications will have to be performed on ESMP and not IRIS?
Yes, so the general data submission will be in Iris, and also the connection of the iSpoke contacts, which are currently in Iris, will be implemented in ESMP. So, of course, that connection between the account management and the single points of contact, which are assigned for the industry, will be implemented in the ESMP, and data will be submitted by them.
Excellent. Okay. So with that, I think it's probably worth indeed slowly moving to a close to have everyone indeed meet their 11 o'clock meetings. Emily, we do have a couple of polls, which I wasn't able to set up in all the rooms, but if I could invite everyone indeed to go back to the EAF room for and PMS room, there's two quick polls that we'd actually just like to ask the audience. One is indeed which product demo was relevant to you, and you can select multiple options, but we'd like to get an idea of which of the products you came for. Indeed, shortages is also there. It was hidden behind the bar. So if everyone indeed that has been asking their questions could actually go indeed to the EAF forums room. There you go. I see people are finding it. That's where you can find the poll. There we go. Just give everyone a minute to answer. Just reminding everyone you can submit multiple answers, but you don't have to, obviously. While people are filling in that poll, I'll just indeed remind everyone that we will indeed find a channel to distribute the Q&A from this demo. Those will be generally unformatted, and questions that are not answered may not indeed get answers. So to be on a best effort basis, indeed we will share the questions and answers given in writing, and obviously there's also the recording. Let's see. So indeed we see that indeed a balance here, where the majority of you were interested indeed in the electronic application forms. I suppose indeed with the go live not too far off, that makes sense. But indeed also a lot of people indeed here to get a first peek at electronic product information. So that's great to see. And then PMS shortages and emergency task force. Some of you indeed also came to see that. So that's great to see. That really helps us. I see almost 60 people have voted. So indeed, if more people do want to vote, please go ahead. Because indeed, after this, we'll have indeed one more quick question to ask you before I think I hand back over to Jean-Michel to close us. So give everyone just another 30 seconds to vote. So please do make your way and vote. Go. Numbers changing a little bit. Okay. Once we hit 70, I'm going to hit indeed for the other poll, or maybe it's 69. I think we'll just we'll stop there, and then I'm just going to there we go. And I'm just going to hit play on the other poll, and that is, how likely would you be to recommend joining a system demo, as you saw it today, to a colleague or peer? Let's see. So We have just about over half the people indeed that would actively recommend. Quite a few people that would, quite a few people indeed that, or say one or two people indeed that wouldn't recommend the system demo, which is okay. The system demo is what it is. It's us indeed displaying some of the progress from the past quarter on different products, and probably need more and more as we bring more and more indeed into that way of working. So just going to give this another second before I give the floor back to Jean-Michel. Okay, maybe we leave this poll open otherwise in the background, Emily, and then Jean-Michel, go ahead.
So thank you very much, Joris. So I would like to thank all our product owners who did a great demo today, and we see the achievement of a Q3 of this year. I give you a rendezvous for the 21st of December for the next system demo, for the Q4 system demo, and with more product into the demo, because we will onboard, we have onboarded new products in the last PI. So thank you very much, everyone. I wish you a good day and see you in 3 months from now. Bye-bye.